The focus of this session shifts completely from the policy discussion we heard from government and the Commission first thing this morning to the industry view. And we're fortunate very much to have three industry leaders with us today, and I'd like to introduce them briefly before we start. First to my right is Rocco Delvecchio, who's the Vice President, Government Affairs at Siemens Canada. He is responsible for representing Siemens Canada Limited at the government level and providing strategic guidance to the Siemens Management Group, the international group. He's responsible for establishing and maintaining relationships with key government stakeholders throughout Canada and defining the Siemens approach to this market segment. Prior to joining Siemens in 2006, Mr. Delvecchio served as Consul General for the Government of Canada. Then his responsibilities included representing Canada in Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky, where he promoted Canadian interest in trade, investment, immigration, environment, culture, and academic relations. Mr. Delvecchio is a graduate of U of T and is a Master of Applied Science in Aerospace Engineering. To his right is Tim McMillan, our colleague, who was appointed President and incoming CEO of the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers on October 1st, 2014. At CAP, Tim's responsible for leading activities in education and communications, as well as policy and regulatory advocacy on behalf of the CAP member companies, which represent over 90% of Canada's upstream oil and gas production. He's traveled and worked extensively overseas and is noteworthy as having a political career as well. In 2007, Tim was elected to Saskatchewan Party MLA in the riding of Lloydminster, and from 2010 until his appointment to CAP, Tim held several strategic cabinet portfolios, including energy, amongst his responsibilities. He also has a background as an entrepreneur, where he set up an oilfield services company in Saskatchewan. Third to our right is John Rathbone, who's a senior consultant, North America Energy Systems with Ramball. I had to look this up as to what Ramball was, and I know John's going to tell us more about it. But just in a nutshell, Ramball is a leading engineering design consultancy company founded in Denmark in 1945, has 13,000 experts across the globe, and just recently came to Canada. Ramball works across all building sectors: transport, planning, urban design, environment and health, energy, oil and gas, and management consulting. And he's been involved in almost every stage of the engineering consulting business, from system planning to detailed design and construction. Personally, he has experience in a variety of engineering systems, with European-style district energy systems as a primary interest. His role here in Canada is to bring Ramball's experience to our country. Folks, we have approximately an hour for this panel. They each have short presentations, and they promised that they would be short presentations. And then we'll follow with a couple of Q's and A's from me and open floor comment as we did in the first session. Rocco, I'd like to invite you to start, please.
Okay, thank you, Graham. First of all, I see the ambassador coming back to sit with us. I wanted to congratulate the ambassador for, first of all, setting this up. It was part of an early discussion about how Canada and Europe could work more closely together. So we thank you for that. I think also the prospect of having a trade agreement signed recently or soon will be another element of strengthening relationships between Europe and Canada. So we look forward to that, particularly from a Siemens perspective, where we're a German-based company, but we have a substantial presence here in Canada as well. So we look forward to the conclusion of that agreement as well. So I will talk briefly, 10 minutes, about future of energy as we see it, some of the challenges that we see within Siemens, and then basically some of the things that we feel we need to do going forward to be able to balance, as we say in the title of this panel session, economic growth, energy security, and climate change. Just a minute or two on Siemens. We're a global company. We're present in about almost 200 countries. We have about 350,000 employees. Headquartered in Germany. We have energy as one of our largest business sectors. And so we're deeply immersed in all the issues that are being discussed here at this conference. And we have roughly 5,000 employees here in Canada. So we have a substantial presence here. Again, a big part of that is is in the energy sector, and have a colleague, David Hickey, who's here, the head of our wind division, who will be speaking later today as well. So first to the challenges of the day. And I'll go through this quickly. These are obvious, I think, to many of you. Economic efficiency, there's huge pressure on companies, including Siemens, to become more efficient and competitive. Energy and energy costs and the way you structure your energy systems is a big part of that. Reliable power, we see that even in developed countries, that sometimes reliable supply of energy is an issue, and so that's something that needs to be managed, particularly as we transition from a fairly stable energy system to increased renewable energy and other sources of energy. The climate change, which is an overarching strategy or pressure that industries feel, and how does one adjust to that? That's essentially the core of this panel discussion. Resource efficiency, with the introduction of smarter energy systems, there are issues that relate to how best optimize the production and distribution of energy. And in public acceptance, which was the last point I think raised in the previous panel, very little gets done in any of these areas without broad public understanding and acceptance.